welcome to our next episode.
Amazing.
I think it's really good timing because the title of this episode is Getting Back on the Treadmill. So I think most of us have been very guilty over the holiday season, indulgence and all those things. And the natural thing to do, of course, is get back on the treadmill.
Literally and metaphorically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's happening as we speak downstairs in the gym. Yeah.
But it's busy at the gym at this time of year,
It is
isn't it?
very busy. I was watching how busy it was the second week, actually, this week more so. Yeah.
Really? Yeah.
Everyone's
You can
back on the
see.
treadmill.
Oh, for sure. Cardio room is packed.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting, isn't it? Because my natural reaction is to get back on the treadmill, get running like I always used to do. But I've been informed that's not the thing to do. And I think that's where we're going to lead this conversation today, is that it's actually not get back on the treadmill. Where Julia, are you getting back on the treadmill?
I'm one of those individuals that I've never stepped foot in a gym, and last year I had to go to physio, and I've set some exercises, and I've gone back and said yes, I've done those exercises, but I just I didn't know quite where to get started. So I am one of those that I am really that sort of couch potato, so to speak, and the meno belly is just getting worse and I need to do something. So
you've seen some change in yourself.
Yeah.
Okay, well I think we'll talk about menopause later, I think, won't we? But I think your case scenario is common. So you get to midlife, you've never done exercise and realise that you need to. There's also another group of women who have exercised all their lives in some form or other, maybe a bit of a roller coaster, but I've done some kind of exercise, and then hit late 30s, early 40s and find either just completely exhausted, it's not having the impact that it did, getting injured, and I fall into that category. So I've done some kind of exercise all my life, and it's changed depending on the life stage. I grew up cardio.
Yeah.
And then wondered why I was getting injured in my 40s.
Right.
And then I went through a learning curve then about changing my exercise for my health, for my fitness, for my, for my heart, for my symptoms, for my joints, for everything that was going on. So different women have got a different journey to come on, and that, Sally, isn't it, why we brought an expert in today?
Absolutely. So we're again super privileged, and this is thanks to the Lansdowne Club. We're not only using their sponsorship, we're using their knowledge now. So we're very pleased.
Oh, it's brilliant to be here. I
welcome.
think it's a huge topic, so it'd be amazing to get it out there for our members and everyone to have a conversation about it in the open.
Oh,
It'd be
it's
amazing. Yeah.
That's great. So
Honestly.
Lansdowne members, you're going to be a magnet to them. Yeah. So I'm pleased to welcome Gillian, who's
Thank you for having
a
me,
personal
Sally.
trainer at the Lansdowne Club for over 20 years.
That is correct,
Wow.
yes.
20 years. It can't.
Wow.
Anyway,
Did you start when you were 10?
Yes, I started when I was about 8 to 10.
But I mean, it says a lot, doesn't it? It says a lot that you've worked here for so long, but I think it's also, a lot of gyms I've been to over the years, the personal trainers that are part of that gym are male, under 30, and training women like me. So the fact that the Lansdowne Club has got a woman who's worked here a long time, who understands women's physiology, then that says a lot for what we're trying to talk about, and also
definitely.
what kind of approach the Lansdowne Club has to supporting women in midlife.
Yeah.
So
Definitely.
it's really
great to have
good.
you here.
Really
Thank
We're
you.
hoping to all
Thank
learn
you.
a lot.
So good. So Gillian, what have you noticed in your years and years of experience about women midlife? What's going on for them? What do you notice in those people?
I find it interesting. I think one of the main elements is maybe first of all, it depends on their circumstances, maybe the different ages, but I think the group that we're maybe discussing today, when I think about some of the clients that are going through the menopause and sort of in their late 40s to 50s to 55s, one of the biggest things I think is walking into a gym and suddenly the confidence has completely disappeared. And it's it's really important for me to try and grasp that and welcome them in, and maybe with kind of changing their habits and then build that confidence back up. And I think what's really amazing is as I have been here for so long, and I've seen the transition of some of the ladies that have started to come in, and then maybe by the second year or a few months in or even 5 years later, you know, they're at the beginning of the class, they're talking to all the members, they're forming sort of communities and leading their own kind of movement, whereas maybe 5 years ago, or, you know, that confidence was just really never there. So I think it's like a journey, but I think that's one of the main things for me. Just making someone feel really comfortable in the environment. Sometimes you walk into many gyms and it's very foreign for them. It's completely intimidating. And I always wonder, and some of the ladies that have been there before, they're like, oh my God, you've got nothing to worry about. I mean, you really haven't, but it's just something, it's a block that sometimes people carry in their mind. And I think with a habit change and what happens and regularity and things explained nicely, it's a completely different world.
Yeah, it's a great take, isn't it? Because you know, the getting on the treadmill thing almost implies by its title is it's a short-term thing that we all do for January. You know, gyms are packed in January, and by the middle of February they quieten down again. What you're talking about is building habits for a lifetime.
100%.
Because that in midlife is what we have to do. This isn't about being super skinny.
No.
It's about being fit, strong, managing your symptoms, managing your long-term health.
That's it.
Forever.
And I think a lot of the ladies also find that, I think we're going to probably touch on things like resistance training in a moment, but a lot of ladies will probably think, oh, I really don't want to bulk. But it's never really going to be that case if we put you through the program and teach you the correct techniques. There's no way that a woman can bulk that much. So, you know, it's different techniques and things we'll put you through.
That's amazing. I love it. So the thing is, there are also some of those women who do exercise on a regular basis.
Oh, yeah, there is. Yeah.
Yes. But why is it that it gets harder, or it seems harder when you've been exercising? What's that all about?
Do
yeah. I mean, I think there's a you know, we talk about in every episode that hormone change, that decline of your main hormones, just means that some forms of exercise are better than others. We need to be doing less cardio because that fills your body, pumps your body with cortisol, and adds to the stress, can actually worsen your symptoms, as well as giving you the risk of injuries, and you know, and you actually don't achieve any of the objectives that you need. Probably just as, or even more importantly, that is strength training and resistance training.
Oh, definitely. I would probably say that conception that many women have about weight training, that's something that I just really want to get out there, that probably muscle is probably one of the most fundamental tools that a woman can manipulate to increase the efficiency of her life, and many symptoms, from fatigue to exhaustion to lower back pain to knee ailments to energy even, and to just get her through the day, and even mood, you know, anxiety and stress, and the raising cortisol, for example. There's just so many ways that once we start experiencing the effects of having built that muscle, and knowing also, for me, the thing for me is not just taking a client and getting them to do something. It's literally for me to explain the reason why they're doing it and the physiological changes they're actually going through, because then I think they're more likely to adhere to it. I feel like that's the most important thing that I'd love to get across. Important.
And the scale of strength training is enormous, isn't it? People think, you know, yes, you can definitely go on big weight machines, you know, doing kind of chest press and hip thrust and all that kind of thing, which is great. But equally, it can be body weight resistance training that you could do at home with the right instruction.
Oh, definitely. It's just all about trying to put some resistance on the body. It doesn't have to be weights. It could be resistance bands. It could be body weight, and it could be maybe a little bit of calisthenics or plyometrics in a small way, and just trying to build a stronger muscle. So it's the muscle is the most important part of what we're, I think, discussing at the moment. And I can explain why, but yeah.
Well, explain why.
Yeah.
I mean, if you think about, in the simplest form, your muscle, literally, if I can explain it like this, because a lot of people will find it more validating for them. It's there to soak up sugar at the end of the day. When we're having our food on a daily basis, we're ingesting carbohydrates, that's going to change into glucose, and then the glucose is going to be transferred into glycogen, but that glycogen is going to be stored in the muscle predominantly. Now, when we go through the menopause, as we know, estrogen kind of declines, and then we have less of that muscle, it starts to deteriorate. Therefore, we've got no storage for what we're talking about here. So you get a lot weaker. Your engine, and I like to describe the muscle as an engine. We're ingesting fuel all day long, but if we think of muscle as an engine, then the fuel's not working. So essentially we get tired, our mood drops. So if we build up that muscle in those processes, across the board, you've got energy, your strength is better, and you change your mood. So there's so many filters that it drops into by just increasing your muscle, but very slowly in small parts, body weight, resistance training, stretches, anything that you can do.
Yeah. And it's not just about today, is it? You know, you see a lot of things online on Instagram. You know, I'm doing the farmer's carry with big weights on my arm so that I can carry the shopping when I'm 70. And I'm doing squats so I can get up out of the chair when I'm 70. You know, it's about longevity, isn't it?
Oh, 100%. I feel like once we get to a certain age, it then becomes perhaps less about the aesthetics and more about the efficiency of your body, which is so important for a lot of the ladies that step through the gym now downstairs, which is really important, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. So am I understanding this right? Because, you know, I'm no expert.
Of course.
That if we're not strengthening our muscle, then basically that sugar is like just sitting as fat. Is that right? Or
I mean, essentially, it's literally about, it's a big thing. It's literally about trying to control your blood sugar levels. So as soon as you're ingesting the carbohydrate, you've got the glucose, but then that needs somewhere to store. Now, if that doesn't store in the muscle, then you're calling for more insulin to be produced in the body. A rise of insulin in the body then is calling for more storage of fat because it's got nowhere to store, essentially. And a lot of the times people talk about the menobelly, and that's exactly where the insulin is calling that to store in the midsection around the organs.
Is this what our listeners will have heard of, insulin resistance?
Insulin resistance,
that's
absolutely.
yeah.
And I think it's a very important thing, and it can, you know, transition into other things, for example, you know, diabetes and things like this later on. It's a huge thing, I think, to control your blood sugar levels, but to be able to manipulate that and sort of stop the resistance, training your muscle, that's the one thing everyone has access to. You can walk, definitely. You can pick up some bands and you can step into a gym. You don't even have to do that these days. You can do a program at home. But yeah, I think, for example, just to put it out there, for example, when you are even in perimenopause, the muscle can sort of decrease by something like 0.3 to 0.5% every year. But then as soon as you get into sort of menopause, that can go into, say, for example, 10 to 20%. So it really accelerates. So the sooner, or as soon as you can start training with a resistance program, the better for you it will be, and it will start aiding all of these things that are starting to deteriorate effectively.
It's kind of crazy though, isn't it? Because our generation
Julia, are you listening to
Julia.
this?
But you see, I feel like this is one of the most, it's all very well telling someone to do an exercise program, but I feel like once we talk about them and they really understand why they're doing it, it really hits home, and they're like, oh wow, you know, it becomes like, you know, brushing your teeth every day, cooking your food, preparation, watering your plants, whatever, but you know, you're taking care of your body, because effectively if you don't, osteoporosis, diabetes, lower back pains, knee injuries, they can start to filter in, and we want to prevent that, don't we? So
Well, I do.
yeah.
I do as well.
It's literally
Julia does too.
fundamental.
Did you know that, everybody?
So there we go.
Yeah, that's amazing.
So Julia, are you about to commit to some exercise?
I think I'm going to have to, aren't I?
I actually think you'll enjoy it, Julia. I think it's going to be a new thing for you.
Are you going to guide me?
Oh, 100%. 100%.
Right, the challenge is set.
100%.
Julia is doing a programme.
It's really good.
Love it.
And what I really like about what you're saying there, Gillian, is that you can do it at home.
Oh, God, yeah, absolutely.
And it's, you know, that's the confidence thing. And it's really like eye-opening to me that you're saying that the biggest issue that you really have is the confidence thing about going in the gym.
It's always a barrier because it's, you know, it's something that you're not familiar with. And whenever you're not familiar with something, it becomes quite scary. And it takes, what you've got to do, you've just got to be brave and just jump straight in, which I've always... one of my things, you've just got to get on with it, haven't you? But, you know, people's fears are different. Everyone's used to a different comfort zone. So, you know.
So it scares me, and I think that's been my blocker over the years is I do have that mental block, and it's that whole actually walking into the gym in gym clothes. You know, I'm comfortable in work clothes and a pair of heels. You know, I've been known to go on a walk in a pair of heels. But,
that's very impressive.
but I'm not that comfortable in a pair of trainers and gym kit. And, you know, I'm one of those people as well. A couple of times I've been convinced to go to Pilates with a friend, but I'm always the one that's found giggling in the corner because, again, I have this mental block.
Of course.
So I do struggle, and I feel, you know, as well that people will look at me and I'll be all, you know, and
that's dead common, isn't it?
Nobody
is.
Nobody is.
And
just
they're all in their own zone, but it's very, very, very common.
Yeah,
very, very common.
But I think the drive for you now is you know enough about menopause and midlife that maybe you haven't done it before because it's been an aesthetic and you've not needed to do that. Whereas now, yes, you've got your menopause, but you also know the short and the long-term health benefits of doing it rather than it just being that I'm going to lose a few pounds. You know, this is you need to do this for your long-term health.
It is, and it's the osteoporosis, you know, the prevention of diabetes. I've got to do something, but
no better place to start.
Right, it's on record. It's on record.
It's on record. We're going to have progress reports now. It's going to be part of these podcasts. It's really good because at the end of the day, it's about supporting ourselves, isn't it? It's exactly what you just said, really. And I just think we need to now look at, well, what do we do? Because when we say, like, this part of the year, you know, it is traditional where the gyms are all busy and everyone getting back on that metaphorical treadmill of like, I've got a reset, I've got a New Year's resolution, I'm going to do something different. And what I'm getting is we do need to do something different. And actually the physical treadmill 100%. May not be the answer. It's not the answer.
No, and I wouldn't probably say it would be. And it's metaphorically, yes, but I would say because of, you know, probably at this age, the high impacts of, you know, the treadmills are very hard on your lower back and things. What we'll touch on later is other elements with strengthening as opposed to the treadmill as well. But
So what kind of movement does help if we're going to reset?
Okay, so I would probably maybe start off definitely at least maybe 2 half-an-hour sessions a week, and maybe leading into 3. And we could design a very nice. Oh, don't get too nervous, but it will be.
I'm going to. This is your list.
Very gently. I will make sure it will work for you to fit in with your lifestyle. But I think fundamentally, what's important is trying to hit every single muscle group so that we've got a nice total body with very light weights to get used to things as you start to build up the strength in 2 months, for example, and then 4 months. And then once you've gotten used to the changes in your body and you feel the benefits like your mood, less inflammation, less backaches, for example, you start to become quite addicted to it. And you start to, most people start to become addicted to it and start to enjoy it.
Yeah.
I have had people maybe in their, I'd say, even 60s come downstairs. I've never trained in my whole life before, but the doctor says I need to. What can you do with me? I've gone, okay, cool, we'll go back in. 16 years later, is still around, and he's changed his metabolic age by about 16 years in over 10 years of consistency. He'll never now miss a workout, and this is someone that never stepped foot in the gym in their life before, which is really, really interesting because they're feeling the benefits and they know it's doing effectiveness for their work, for their body.
It's interesting what you said then about starting out and that you start on fairly low weights and build up gradually. So that's about gradually, improving the strength of your body, but it's also about form, isn't it? Making sure that you're doing it right.
Form is really important, because basically if we're doing something with the wrong technique or too heavy a weight, we're obviously in danger of maybe damaging something like the lower back. We want to be very careful, because we also know that as the levels of estrogen decline when muscles deteriorate, you're more likely to injure yourself at these sort of steps, because the muscles are not supportive. So that's what we want to do. Whenever I take a client in, I'm as well as doing a total body workout with them and a small amount of cardio, always dedicate a lot of time to working what we call the whole core and the chain. So the glutes and the lower back and the quads, that whole area, that segment of your body which is going to support your lower back, which is the root, I think, is very, very important. And, when people are trained early on in life for many, many years, they may even come back after about, in their late 60s and say, I've got terrible knee ailments and lower back, but probably because they've neglected core training as well, which for me is fundamental as well. As resistance
so by core,
training.
it's not abs, this is it? Core is your whole...
Definitely. A lot of people have the misconception that when you're talking about core, it might just be abs, but it's not. It's definitely the lower back and the glutes, for example, the bum and the hamstrings and the pelvic area, all of this chain, which is going to support the lower back. They all work interlinked together. Very important to touch point on via those muscles as well.
Yeah.
For me.
Amazing. Yeah, I've just recently, I'm going to get a gold star here. Wherever I can get one, I'm going to get one.
Amazing.
But my personal trainer drew, this is the core.
Oh,
and
brilliant.
Kind of oh my God, it is obviously what you've just described.
Yeah.
So
really
my bum is hurting right now, actually. Just so you know, just thought I'd share.
Too much information.
So, yeah.
Well, that's really important.
Sally's
Well done,
new to
Sally.
strength training.
Very good.
I am, I'm new. Yeah, it's really
Brilliant.
good. Yeah, so then there's movement, and Karen says about walking the dog is a good thing. What's your thought about that?
Definitely. Sometimes when we build someone out a program, I would literally say walking, definitely get your step count in, even if it's, towards the individual be targeted, but anything from, 3,000 to 8,000 to 10,000 per day is incredible and can do so much for you. You're cutting into your energy deficit, you're burning fat, and then that constant resistance, even if it's 20 minutes, half an hour a day, you're strengthening the muscle. And if you're walking with heavier weights or a big heavy bag, you're going to be strengthening your glutes and your hamstrings and your quads, and so it's almost like doing resistance training but lighter. But very, very easy for everyone to do.
Yeah, it's also great for mood, isn't it? So one of the main symptoms is kind of this whole mood and serotonin and all that kind of thing. Yeah. Getting out for a walk, getting some daylight into your face.
Yes, definitely.
And even after a meal, it's good for digestion. It helps your digestion when you walk after food, so it actually helps things.
Yeah, we have some people that go for walks after the food. It's really good. I think that's a really big one as well with the dopamine and the serotonin levels. I think once you give someone a target, okay, I'll get you to, why don't you do, 500 steps per day, whatever it might be. And then, they've done it and they've ticked off a box, and that just immediately hits a dopamine tick level in there. And, immediately the mood lifts, and that's more likely to adhere to because they're doing something positive.
Yeah.
And that proven over time, less chronic ailments and inflammation because your mood is elevated.
Yeah.
Very important.
Yeah.
So walking is something that I've sort of introduced because walking always felt a bit, I'm not a walker, but I've just since I've been through the menopause, I've incorporated it into every day to get some basic steps in, to burn some calories, to replace the mad cardio that was told in my 20s with a thing that was great for me. Turns out isn't. And then just supports strength training, so it's all these different, instead of just I've got to do just strength training 5 days a week, it's trying to find different things that you can do. So you might do a couple of sessions in the gym with a PT, and then you might walk every day, you might do some mobility. Can you explain to us about the importance of mobility and as a form of exercise?
As well as when you walk into the gym downstairs, we could be presented with a body composition just to see where we are, where our body composition sits at. But then we also have things like mobility assessments. So, for example, when you do a squat or even when you bend forward, it could be, you have muscle imbalances. One bicep, for example, might be different to the other, or more importantly, your hinge. So the way that you're bending down could be more efficient, because if it's perhaps a bit hindered, you could then end up with things like low back injuries and muscle imbalances, which can definitely affect things like hip and walking and just long-term ailments. So things like mobility is a good one as well to support with the the resistance training. Anything from, this might include stretches or little light movements with things like the resistance bands and repetitive, even Pilates, even something like this, that gets you to actually move in a unnatural way, but to sort out muscle imbalances, basically.
Wow. So, Julia, do you walk? Do you?
I walk the dog when it's not raining, because she won't go out for a walk in the rain. My other half likes a good walk, and he does drag me along.
Quite literally.
has got some great pictures, I think, of me stomping along in the background.
Brilliant.
But that probably is really important, because if you're not doing anything else, that is your exercise at the moment.
It is.
Until we get Gillian
Yes,
stuff. So that's
so
probably.
I do feel better once I've been out on a walk.
Amazing.
And we do enjoy a walk.
I hope he's listening.
Yeah, I'm
Sorry. She said, I do enjoy a walk. So
yeah, please don't contradict with any comments. I do feel much better once I've been out, and
Amazing.
but when I'm sort of like the start, I'm just like.
It's always that first instance, isn't it? Everyone's like, oh, no, not today, rather not. But then you always find after the first 10 minutes, like, oh, yeah, feels great. And definitely afterwards.
And your brain learns how you feel after. So, do I feel like going in the gym every time I do? No, I don't.
No.
But I don't. It's not a challenge, because I know what I'm going to feel like.
Absolutely.
At the end. So
your
it's
body's
kind of
craving for that end feeling,
that
little
feeling,
dopamine hit, and that, yeah.
That's amazing. And you've touched upon Pilates. So what's that related to? How good is, how's that helping us in the menopause?
Well, that's going to be for Pilates and classes such as Pilates and yoga.
Yeah.
They are, I wouldn't say they're too heavy on the cardio. They're going to be, I would say, a light way of doing resistance training, because in some instances you are put in positions for maybe several seconds or minutes. That's working your endurance, muscular endurance. So you're building up your muscle in that way as well. But you haven't got the weights and you haven't got the machines. It's just literally a class-based exercise. Or you can have a Pilates roller or a mat, and you can do this in your front room or so. But that is still an important part of resistance training, whereby you're manipulating your muscle and you're building muscle, which is good without the gym.
It's finding the thing that you like and you're going to commit to.
That's it. Everybody's different.
Stickability.
Yeah.
Some people just love to do with the heavy weights. Some people like a yoga class. Some people like a HIT class. Some people like to go for a run.
Sorry, what's HIT?
So HIT is high intensity training, so interval training. So that essentially is when maybe you're doing an exercise. It might be a set of lunges, jump lunges, for example, for maybe 30 seconds. And then you're doing it full pelt. And then you take a little rest and you come back.
Right. So is there anything that needs to be said about cardio then? So the cardio junkies.
I think, I grew up as a cardio queen. We were told, feel the burn. The more calories you burn, the better. It's all about being thin. Never quite got there, but nonetheless, that's your ultimate goal, is to be thin. So as I went through midlife, that didn't work for me anymore. Yeah. So I could still be, we've spoken before, running half a marathon at 50 caused more damage than it did good. And was I thin at the end of that? Absolutely no, I wasn't. Because I think my cortisol was so high, I was actually putting weight on my midsection. Yeah. So I've learned over the years that whilst cardio isn't bad, the right cardio is good with that. Be walking, and it depends on your starting point, doesn't it? But less cardio and more strength training to build the muscle, to build endurance, to set you up for midlife, and stop this obsession with the aesthetic and focus on being strong.
Yeah.
There's a strong, not skinny thing that people say now.
Yeah.
And what's great is the generation coming behind us actually get that already, and they've learned that. So cardio isn't bad per se. It's just got to be balanced out.
I think just to add on to that, definitely, as you were saying, I think it's amazing that you did the marathon and everything, and very interesting to see what happened. That's amazing. But what I was going to just interject with is it also depends. You've got the cardio, and then you've got several aspects surrounding the cardio. So if you're taking care of your nutrition, which is also fundamental, might be something that we talk about another time, but basically your body essentially is an engine, but you need the fuel. If you are doing too much cardio or way too much for your body and you haven't got the fuel, you're going to end up tired, depleted, injuries. So that balance of doing the cardio but having the necessary support, the right amount of nutrition and the right amount of recovery is also amazing as well. Really important to add that in.
Okay.
Yeah, and we've spoken about in other episodes, and you're just reiterating that, is that whatever you do to help your menopause symptoms and your midlife health is part of a toolkit.
Yeah.
So if you're just getting the exercise bit right, note to you, Julia. So there's more than just the exercise coming. We're going to do a challenge for Julia. That's an absolute given.
Brilliant.
If you're just doing just exercise, it won't work. So if you're not fueling your body correctly, if you're not sleeping, if your stress is all over the place, then
that's it.
You have to understand it's a bigger picture. So the stuff that you do downstairs is perfect, but I'm sure you're telling your clients about the nutrition.
That's almost the other part of the puzzle. yeah, definitely.
So can we just touch upon, and you just mentioned that recovery.
Sure. Okay.
So what's that about?
I mean, when we're talking about recovery, essentially when you're doing resistance training, you're literally putting pressure on the muscle, you're breaking down the muscle fibers, so you need that time for it to recover. That's almost half the work. So for example, I would never say to someone, let's train every day with resistance training. And if definitely if starting out, you would go for maybe 2 days a week with rest in between. Train Monday, Wednesday, Sunday, and have those essential rest days in between. Very, very important, because otherwise there's sort of no need to train the back for one day and then training it again the next day, because you're just interfering with the recovery process and you're actually doing more harm than good. And, we want the results and we want you to feel the effects. So you have to do it correctly.
Yeah, I'm feeling the effects right now.
There we go.
So
And that's
good
a good
on the
feeling.
recovery.
It's a good feeling when you can feel something working or hurting the next day. That's a good thing.
Yeah. Did you hear
Doms.
that?
I did hear that, yes.
It's good pain.
Brilliant. So we also, just to sort of round up, you said about stickability, and what I'm understanding from that is that you need to understand this is not a fad. It's like a lifestyle thing, and that we need to
100%,
build on it
definitely.
and build on it. And actually stopping and starting, I would imagine, is as harmful as not doing anything. Would that be right?
I wouldn't say, you're probably right. You can get back on it, but just might take a little bit longer, rather than keeping that continuous along the way. You're just continually improving rather than plateauing and then starting again. So it can 2 steps forward, 3 steps back.
Finding your thing.
That's
so
it.
important. No point saying Sally go into the gym with a PT, doing big weights if that's not your thing, because you won't stick at it.
Exactly.
Experiment with it.
This is a lifestyle thing for life.
Definitely.
Got to find your thing, Julia.
Got to find your thing.
Find it. So we're not really going to talk about weight loss, but I know there's a lot of our listeners out there who will be saying, I can't get rid of it. What's that about? Menobelly, yeah. What? So I suppose we've already touched it, really, haven't we? We just basically said that we're eating these things. It's got nowhere to be stored, so it's sitting on our bellies. Is that right?
Essentially.
Yeah.
You explained that really well.
Yeah.
It's,
I think it's important to not bombard everyone with too much scientific, but if you can break it down in a way they really understand, it sticks.
Yeah.
And
the exercise that we're going to look at, Julie's part of it, but it is still also the nutrition. So it's menobelly isn't fixed by exercise.
No,
it can help it along, but it's a holistic approach to that.
Yeah, definitely.
Menobelly can be it can't be fixed entirely, but it can be managed.
Yeah,
As a
100%.
symptom.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Amazing. So just as we're closed, I'm just wondering if anyone's wants to just have you one final message for our listener. Anybody?
Can we go on record as saying that we are going to set a challenge for Julia
Yes.
to start?
And she's accepted.
It started for me.
And I have accepted.
So
That is
that's
amazing.
we will review continually in episodes how that's going along.
Yes.
So I think
Brilliant.
that's
Brilliant.
important.
Brilliant. Very excited.
I think my takeout, having listened to some of the things that you've said, Gillian, is we all need to exercise in midlife, not to be frightened of it. If we've been doing it all our lives, we might need to change the way we're doing it. And it's a combination of strength training, limited cardio with the right kind of supervision, and some mobility work as part
I
of
think
your mix of
definitely.
solutions.
Yeah, every single person is different. They've all got different ailments, and they've all got different. And someone's daily is different to someone else. So the load and the volume that you're doing every day will change as well. Some can do a little cardio. Some might need to watch their injuries.
Yeah.
And so,
Amazing.
Personal.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Any one message from you, Gillian?
Just get started as soon as possible.
Wow, amazing. And for me, it's not about a punishment. It's about support and supporting your body for all the positive reasons. I think all that positivity is really good. So all I have to say is thank you so much for your time and your expertise.
No problem.
I just feel as if I could sit and listen to you all day and all night. So really appreciate it.
And hopefully you'll come back on again. You'll come back on again and we'll talk about some things in more detail, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
And of course, come and update on my progress.
Oh, God,
With
yeah.
pictures.
You guys are going to be
With
surprised.
pictures.
Yes,
Great.
going to be surprised.
Thank you, Gillian.
Very
That's been
excited.
great.
Very welcome. No
Thank you.
worries.